It was an ordinary afternoon. Steven Seagal's daughter was out enjoying a casual day, walking through a quiet neighborhood with a few friends. The sun was shining, people were out, and everything seemed normal. But sometimes, ordinary days take unexpected turns. A group of local bullies noticed her from across the street. At first, they whispered among themselves, smirking and pointing. The daughter didn't notice, thinking they were just other kids passing by. But as she walked closer, the whispers turned into taunts, and the smirks became bold gestures. "Hey, look at her. She thinks she's better than everyone," one of them shouted. Before she could respond, a gentle shove came from behind. She stumbled slightly, but caught herself quickly. Her friends gasped, trying to intervene, but the bullies laughed, growing more confident. They had no idea who she was. In that moment, a small crowd of bystanders gathered, sensing the tension. Some pulled out their phones, quietly recording, unsure whether to step in or just watch. The daughter stayed composed, not showing anger or fear outwardly. She took a deep breath, keeping her focus. Her calmness only seemed to confuse the bullies. They had expected tears, anger, or fear, but she didn't react as they hoped. Instead, she straightened up, looked them in the eye, and said softly but firmly, "Please stop. This isn't necessary." The bullies hesitated, momentarily taken aback, but their arrogance returned quickly. They continued to surround her, not realizing the situation was about to shift dramatically. What they didn't know and what no one around realized at first was that the daughter was not just any ordinary teenager. She was Steven Seagal's daughter, a name that carried strength, skill, and respect worldwide. And in the next few moments, that fact would change everything. They thought they could get away with it, but they had no idea who she really was. The bullies, feeling even bolder now, circled closer. Their whispers had turned into small shoves and mocking gestures. Steven Seagal's daughter remained calm, refusing to react angrily. She didn't want to escalate the situation, but she also wouldn't let herself be intimidated. Some bystanders began noticing the tension. A few of them took out their phones, discreetly recording the encounter. It was clear to everyone watching that something was off, but no one had stepped in yet. The bullies, fueled by confidence, thought they were in control. "Come on, run, or are you scared?" one of them jeered. Her friends tried to step forward, but she gently shook her head. "Let's stay calm," she whispered. Her eyes, however, remained fixed on the bullies. There was no fear in her expression, only focus and quiet strength. The crowd of onlookers slowly grew. People passing by paused to watch, some wondering if anyone would intervene. The atmosphere was tense, the kind of tension that makes your chest tighten and your pulse quicken. And that's when a voice from the back broke through. "Where are you watching from?" A bystander asked jokingly into a phone camera, almost breaking the tension. It reminded viewers and the audience alike. This situation was being witnessed all over the world, even virtually. Before the next moment unfolds, tell me in the comments which city or country are you watching this from. I want to see where everyone is joining from. The bullies, completely unaware of the growing attention, laughed at the suggestion. To them, it was all a joke. But the daughter stayed composed. Every step, every gesture she made was controlled, precise. She wasn't trying to fight back physically. She was letting her calmness speak louder than their aggression. One of the bullies shoved her lightly again. She stumbled but quickly regained her balance. Her friends gasped. The tension was palpable. The bullies were used to reactions like fear or panic, but they weren't getting either. This only frustrated them more. A few bystanders began whispering among themselves. "She's so calm. Who is she? Yeah, she's not scared at all." It was a subtle hint, but one that made the audience lean in, mentally and emotionally. The viewers could feel the injustice, the unfairness of bullying while also sensing the daughter's quiet courage. At this point, the bullies were still unaware of her identity. That ignorance fueled their arrogance. They thought this was just an ordinary teenager, someone they could push around with no consequences, but the story was about to take a dramatic turn. From the corner of the crowd, the tension grew. People could sense something was about to change. Everyone watching, whether in person or online, felt their curiosity peak. What would happen next? How would she respond to the increasing hostility? And in that moment, a quiet strength radiated from her. She wasn't shouting, crying, or running. She was standing tall, calm, and unshakable. They thought they were in control, But in just a few moments, everything would change, and it would shock everyone around them. The bullies were growing more confident. They thought the situation was under their control, that their victim was just an ordinary teenager who would eventually back down. But Steven Seagal's daughter didn't flinch. She stayed composed, calm, and determined, refusing to let them intimidate her. One of the bullies stepped closer and sneered, "What? You're not scared of us?" He tried to push her again. She stumbled slightly but quickly regained her balance. Her friends gasped, their worry visible on their faces. The tension in the air was almost tangible. People passing by had begun to stop and watch. Some were recording with their phones. Others were whispering to one another, unsure whether to step in or stay back. Every person present felt the intensity of the moment, the helplessness, the frustration, and the growing curiosity. The bullies laughed, mocking her composure. "You think you're so tough, huh?" one of them taunted. But the daughter didn't react with anger or fear. She simply took a deep breath, her voice steady and firm. "Please stop. This isn't necessary." Her calmness only confused them. They expected a reaction, tears, shouting, fear, anything they could use to feed their ego. But her quiet strength made them hesitate, just for a moment. The crowd, sensing something significant was happening, leaned in. Whispers began circulating. "Who is she? Why isn't she scared?" Some onlookers exchanged glances, realizing that this was no ordinary encounter. The situation felt bigger than just a street confrontation. Viewers at home, seeing clips online, felt their curiosity spike. They wanted to know what would happen next. The bullies, growing frustrated, decided to escalate. One shoved her more forcefully this time. She stumbled again, but this time, she turned toward them, eyes meeting theirs with unwavering confidence. Her friends instinctively moved closer to support her, but she signaled them to stay calm. She wasn't going to escalate with violence. She was letting her composure do the talking. "If this were happening in front of you, what would you do? Would you step in or stay back? Comment your choice below. I want to see how people would react." The bullies, oblivious to the attention and the growing whispers in the crowd, laughed nervously. They thought they were in control, but the daughter's calm defiance was slowly turning the tables. The tension in the crowd grew. Some spectators whispered about the unusual courage she was showing. The daughter's steady posture and unwavering gaze made everyone wonder. Who was she? Why didn't she seem scared at all? Every shove, every taunt, and every mocking laugh from the bullies only reinforced the daughter's resolve. She knew that showing fear or anger would give them the satisfaction they craved. By staying calm, she was taking control of the situation in a way the bullies hadn't expected. The air was thick with anticipation. Everyone present, those standing nearby, those recording, and viewers online could feel that something was about to happen. The bullies' arrogance, fueled by ignorance, was about to meet an unexpected force. And in that moment, it was clear. They had no idea who they were really dealing with. They thought they had the upper hand. But in just a few moments, everything was going to change, and no one would see it coming. Too fanned, the bullies had been laughing, shoving, and mocking Steven Seagal's daughter for several minutes now. Yet, something unexpected began to happen. Despite their aggression, she remained calm. She didn't yell, didn't retaliate, and didn't show any signs of fear. Her composure was striking, and it slowly caught the attention of the surrounding crowd. People who had been quietly observing now started whispering among themselves. "Who is she? She's so calm. It's almost like she knows something we don't." Some of the bystanders stopped recording for a moment, captivated by her courage and composure. The air was thick with curiosity and anticipation. Then, a faint murmur spread through the crowd. A young bystander, standing at the edge, leaned over to whisper to a friend, "Wait, I think I know her. Isn't that Steven Seagal's daughter?" The words traveled like wildfire. One person repeated it to another. "Did you hear? That's Seagal's daughter." Soon, everyone nearby was whispering, their eyes widening in realization. The bullies, however, were still oblivious. They had no idea that the girl they were picking on was the daughter of a man known worldwide, a legendary figure respected for his skill, discipline, and strength. The daughter noticed the whispers and the changing expressions of the crowd, but she didn't gloat or use the information to her advantage. Her calm demeanor remained unshaken. She knew that this moment wasn't about intimidation or revenge. It was about staying strong and composed in the face of unfairness. The bullies, sensing that something had shifted, looked around nervously. Some began to notice the change in the crowd's behavior, the way people were staring intently, some whispering, others recording more intensely. They still had no idea who they were confronting. Their arrogance started to falter, replaced by a hint of uncertainty. Meanwhile, a few brave bystanders stepped closer to provide subtle support, positioning themselves near the daughter to ensure she felt safe. Their presence added to the growing sense of tension, signaling that the bully's power over the situation was weakening. The daughter's friends stayed by her side. Encouraged by the whispers of recognition spreading through the crowd, they felt a mix of awe and relief, realizing that the balance of power was starting to shift, though the bullies had yet to understand the full extent. Every subtle gesture, a calm stance, a steady gaze, a deep breath reinforced her quiet strength. She didn't need to shout or fight. Her composure spoke louder than any words, and the crowd could sense it. The moment was electric. Viewers online, watching clips as they circulated, could almost feel the tension and anticipation. They were mentally engaged, wondering what would happen next. The bully's ignorance, contrasted with the daughter's calm strength, created a psychological trap that pulled everyone in, both physically present and online. They still didn't realize who they were dealing with, but in just moments, everything was about to change, and the bullies would never forget this day. The daughter's quiet confidence set the stage for the coming reveal. She didn't need to threaten or confront them directly. Instead, she let the truth slowly emerge, letting the tension build to a point where the entire crowd and the bullies themselves would feel the full impact of who she really was. It was a powerful moment, courage and composure against arrogance and ignorance. And everyone watching, whether nearby or through a screen, felt their curiosity, emotions, and anticipation heighten with every passing second. The bullies, still unaware of who they were confronting, had begun to feel a flicker of unease. Their confidence, once unwavering, was starting to waver. The whispers among the crowd were growing louder. "That's Seagal's daughter. That's really her." Despite the growing tension, Steven Seagal's daughter remained calm and composed. She didn't raise her voice or lash out. Instead, she took a deep breath, squared her shoulders, and spoke, her voice steady and firm. "Please stop," she said. "What you're doing isn't right. You're trying to intimidate me, but it won't work. This isn't the way to handle anything." Her words were simple, but they carried weight. The crowd quieted instantly, drawn in by the unexpected courage of someone so young standing up to multiple aggressors. The bullies, however, didn't retreat. They laughed nervously, trying to mask their growing discomfort. One of the bullies stepped closer, attempting to assert dominance. "Oh yeah? And what are you going to do about it?" he sneered. She didn't flinch. She didn't raise a fist. Instead, she held her ground and repeated calmly, "I'm not afraid of what you think you can do. But I won't let you treat me or anyone else like this. Respect is for everyone, not just those who are loud or mean." The words resonated with the crowd. Some onlookers nodded, murmuring in agreement. Phones were raised, recording every word. Even viewers online, seeing clips being shared, could feel the shift in energy. The bully's arrogance was being challenged in a way they hadn't expected. Her friends, who had been anxious moments ago, now felt inspired. They stood a little taller, sensing the power of composure and courage. The daughter's calm, firm voice was enough to challenge the aggressors without escalating the situation into physical confrontation. For the first time, the bullies hesitated. Their laughter faltered. Their steps faltered. They glanced at each other, unsure what to do next. The energy around them had changed, the power dynamic had shifted. It was clear to the crowd. This was no ordinary teenager. This was someone who refused to be intimidated, someone who commanded respect through calm confidence and clarity. The psychological weight of that realization began to sink in. If you had the courage to stay calm in front of bullies like this, type courage in the comments. And if you think more people should stand up this way, share this story. The daughter didn't need to shout, push, or threaten. Her voice, her composure, and her moral strength were enough to silence the bullies and capture the attention of everyone around. She had turned what could have been a moment of fear into a demonstration of quiet power. The bullies, now fully aware that the situation was not in their favor, started to step back, confused and unsure. They still didn't completely understand who they were dealing with, but they could feel the respect and authority emanating from her. At this moment, the scene was electric. The crowd leaned in, holding their breath. Everyone present and everyone watching online could sense that the climax of this confrontation was near. The daughter's strength had created a turning point, setting the stage for the full reveal. They thought they were in control. But in just moments, everything would change, and the bullies would realize the consequences of underestimating her. Her calm but commanding presence had done something remarkable. She had shifted the dynamic without violence, without humiliation, and without losing dignity. The psychological impact on the bullies, and the emotional impact on the audience, was profound. The moment was a lesson. Courage and composure can overpower arrogance and ignorance, even before anyone reveals their true identity. And for everyone watching, both in person and online, the anticipation of what would come next was impossible to ignore. The tension had reached its peak. The bullies, previously brimming with arrogance, were now visibly uncertain. They had underestimated Steven Seagal's daughter, and her calm, unwavering presence had shaken their confidence. But neither they nor the crowd yet fully understood why this encounter was about to become unforgettable. A subtle shift came from the crowd. One of the bystanders, standing slightly apart, finally spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Wait, isn't she Steven Seagal's daughter?" The words spread instantly. Murmurs grew into whispers, whispers into exclamations. "No way, that's Seagal's daughter. That explains her composure. She's the daughter of the man everyone knows, the action star, the martial arts legend." The bullies froze, their confidence evaporated instantly. Faces pale, hands hesitated mid-motion. The joke they had been enjoying just moments ago was gone. In its place stood realization, embarrassment, and fear. Steven Seagal's daughter didn't shout. She didn't laugh. She didn't gloat. She simply stood tall, letting the truth speak for itself. The crowd cheered quietly at first, then louder, recognizing the courage it took to remain calm in the face of intimidation. The bullies, now fully aware of who they had challenged, stumbled over their words. We didn't know." One stammered, "Yes, we didn't mean anything." Another added nervously. But no apology was demanded. The situation didn't need to escalate into confrontation. The revelation itself was enough to shift the balance of power. Respect replaced fear, and humility replaced arrogance. The daughter's friends stepped closer, visibly relieved, inspired by her composure and courage. Onlookers whispered to each other, amazed at how she had handled the situation without violence, without shouting, and without humiliation. She had turned what could have been a traumatic encounter into a lesson in poise, strength, and self-respect. The bullies shuffled away, avoiding eye contact, their earlier bravado gone. The crowd followed their retreat with nods of approval and quiet murmurs of admiration. The psychological impact of this moment was profound. Arrogance met composure, ignorance met quiet strength, and the lesson resonated far beyond the small street where it had all begun. Have you ever seen someone instantly regret their actions? Type yes or no in the comments, and share a story if you have. Meanwhile, viewers online, watching clips shared across social media, were equally captivated. The story was spreading quickly, with people praising her calm courage, her dignity, and the lesson it represented. Respect, after all, cannot be demanded through fear. It must be earned through integrity, courage, and composure. Even the bullies themselves were learning a lesson in humility. They realized that actions born of arrogance and ignorance carry consequences, and that attempting to intimidate someone who remains composed and courageous can backfire in unexpected ways. The daughter didn't raise her voice, didn't threaten, and didn't escalate the situation. Her quiet strength, moral clarity, and dignity were enough to command respect. The crowd applauded her bravery, and onlookers who had been hesitant before now openly supported her. They had thought they were in control, but in just a few moments, the world would see how courage, calmness, and dignity can turn the tables completely and inspire millions. It was a moment that would be remembered, shared, and celebrated, a story of resilience, poise, and moral courage in the face of arrogance. For the daughter, it was not about revenge. It was about standing tall, teaching a silent lesson, and letting the truth reveal itself. The confrontation had ended, but the story was far from over. Steven Seagal's daughter had stood her ground with quiet courage and unwavering composure. The bullies, now fully aware of who they had challenged, had backed down completely, their arrogance replaced by embarrassment. They quietly left the scene, leaving the daughter and her friends standing tall. The surrounding crowd erupted into applause, not just for the outcome, but for the bravery she had shown throughout the encounter. People whispered among themselves, amazed at how calm and dignified she had remained, even when facing multiple aggressors. She had turned a potentially frightening moment into a powerful lesson in courage and composure. News of the incident spread quickly. Videos recorded by bystanders were shared across social media, gaining millions of views within hours. People everywhere praised her strength, her calmness, and her ability to handle the situation without escalating it. Comments poured in from all over the world, from fans in the United States, Europe, Asia, and beyond, all inspired by her example. The story wasn't just about a confrontation. It was about dignity, respect, and the power of staying calm under pressure. Viewers saw that courage doesn't always mean fighting back physically. Sometimes, the strongest statement is made through composure, moral clarity, and standing up for oneself respectfully. Her friends reflected on what had happened, realizing the lesson extended beyond the immediate encounter. It wasn't just about facing bullies. It was about handling challenges in life with poise, courage, and integrity. By remaining calm and confident, the daughter had turned the tables on aggression, teaching a lesson in humility and respect that resonated with everyone watching. Even the bullies themselves were learning a lesson. Their actions, born from arrogance and ignorance, had consequences. They now understood that trying to intimidate someone who remains composed and confident can backfire, leaving them humbled and embarrassed. The encounter was a reminder that true strength isn't measured by intimidation, it's measured by integrity and resilience. If you believe courage and respect always win, type courage in the comments below and share this story to inspire someone today. For viewers online, the story had become more than just a local incident. It was a global example of how composure, respect, and quiet strength can triumph over aggression and arrogance. Millions were inspired to face challenges with dignity, learning that courage isn't always loud, sometimes it's quiet, steady, and unshakable. The daughter didn't seek attention or praise. She didn't gloat or retaliate. She simply walked away with her friends, calm and composed, leaving behind a powerful message for everyone who had witnessed the encounter: that respect, courage, and integrity are stronger than fear and intimidation. The bullies, the crowd, and even viewers online all experienced the emotional impact of her actions. The story was a reminder that moments of challenge can be transformed into lessons of strength, humility, and resilience. And in the days that followed, the story continued to inspire people worldwide, a testament to the power of courage, calmness, and the belief that dignity always prevails. Remember, standing up doesn't always mean fighting back. Type courage in the comments if you agree, and subscribe for more inspiring stories like this one. Share it to inspire someone today.